This is Chicago's very own WGN Evening News at 6.
A healthy varsity athlete nearly lost his life from an addictive habit, more common among teenagers than you might think.
For the first time, we're getting an inside look at how vaping ravaged his lungs and the lawsuit he hopes will bring down an e-cigarette giant. WGN's Dana Rebick reports.
He went from an otherwise healthy teenager to wrestling with an addiction that nearly cost him his life.
It was just terrifying for me.
A varsity athlete at Warren Township High School in Gurnee, Adam Hergenreder started vaping when he was 16, using the popular Juul e-cigarette.
I would say like 80% of the school was doing it already, so I just kind of hopped on like a bandwagon. And the flavors were appealing too. The first one I tried was mint. Found out about the mango, found out about cucumber.
The habit became an all-day, everyday thing.
And Adam was going through a pod and a half every day to every day and a half. That's equivalent to 20 to 30 cigarettes. My son would have never touched a cigarette. But here he was using this device.
Mom Polly knew her son was vaping and, like most parents, was against it, throwing away his cartridges when she'd find them and telling him to stop. But he was hooked.
It was like a head rush. I remember just getting like a little bit lightheaded.
Hergenreder eventually started vaping THC as well, and in August he got sick.
At first I started to feel like tremors, like I was like just super cold and I couldn't control them. Then the next day I started to throw up.
After 3 days of vomiting and a high fever, his parents took him to Advocate Condell Medical Center in Libertyville.
It was extremely difficult, especially seeing him on the ventilator. You can barely breathe. It was scary, very scary.
At first, doctors thought Hergenreder was battling an extreme flu, but after x-rays and a CT scan, they knew that wasn't what was wrong.
So you can see how foggy it is right there, and then right here, and there's the scar tissue.
These are some images of people who have vaped, and it's a CAT scan. Basically, there's damage, inflammation, and it should be more black here, so this is really bad.
Julie A. Stairs is an advanced practice oncology nurse at Northwest Community Hospital in Arlington Heights. She sees a lot of patients with lung cancer from smoking cigarettes, but says the damage caused by vaping is different.
This is more advanced. It's water vapor. It's getting deeper into your tissue than when you smoke a cigarette. It's really scary that it's doing this in such a short time.
Causing tissue damage and cell death in the lining of the airways and the lungs themselves. In October, doctors from the Mayo Clinic collected biopsy samples of 17 patients around the country who had become sick or died after vaping use. They all showed what looked like a toxic chemical burn, similar to people exposed to poisons like mustard gas in World War I. In November, the CDC was able to identify vitamin E acetate as a common denominator in the samples of sick patients, a chemical additive in some THC vaping products.
They told me that it looked like an unhealthy 70-year-old patient. And just hearing those words were absolutely terrifying for me.
What's alarming, the spike in e-cigarette use among teens over the past 2 years. CDC data shows that now more than 1 in 4 high school students is vaping, up from about 1 in 10 in 2017.
First, I was angry because I knew it was something that we had told him not to do. But then my anger went towards the Juul, that they had this product that made my son so addicted. And now here he is laying on a hospital bed.
What Juul was doing was acting as the proverbial carnival clown, handing out lollipops to kids.
The Hergenreder family has filed a lawsuit against Juul Labs, blaming the company for marketing its products to children, with a claim of being a safe alternative to smoking.
Well, I'd like them to shut the doors. I mean, this is an epidemic, and it's not going to get any better until something is done.
So many people have been sickened since Adam got sick. He was one of the first ones in the country, but people have been dying at a very high rate now, and there are other municipalities who want to put a stop to this.
After pressure from the federal government, Juul Labs first took its fruity flavored pods off the market in October and then discontinued its popular mint flavor. CEO Kevin Burns also stepped down last fall.
We came up with the slogan, stay safe, don't vape.
On the home front, the Hergenreder family has started its own campaign to discourage vaping among teens.
Doesn't look like you.
They are currently working with the Lake County State's attorney to install vaping disposal bins, much like the ones used to drop off old prescription bottles or used hypodermic needles around the community.
Running up the stairs, trying to go like fast up the stairs, I get winded a lot.
Though his wrestling days are over, Adam Hergenreder says his biggest fight yet will be discouraging teens from walking down the same path he did.
My, advice for them to take a few seconds and just think about what can happen. Not worth it at all.
There have been more than 2,600 people sickened from vaping across the country, with 60 deaths, and 5 of the people who died lived in Illinois. Juul Labs did respond to our story and Adam's lawsuit, saying in part, our customer base is the world's 1 billion adult smokers, and we do not intend to attract underage users. To the extent this case alleges otherwise, it is without merit. Aside from the Hergenreder civil suit, the Lake County State's Attorney's Office has also filed a criminal suit against Juul, blaming the company for marketing to teens. In the studio, Dana Rebick, WGN News.